Thrice's download. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another late night podcast going on here on Thrice's download, utilizing Spreaker's awesome network here. And our show tonight's called Experiencing the Moment. This is a Shrooms edition. This might go for 10, might go a little longer. I kind of like this topic, just to letting you know. Basically, this whole segment's going to be about what experiencing the moment means to me and what I've learned about it, and then going into the shrooms aspect of it from the shamanic plant side, or the natural shamanic side. But this is all in honor of Thursday, because Thursday is about experience, and but what I'm going to be discussing is Thursday is about expansion. So, I'm talking about experiencing the moment, because when you experience the moment, what occurs is this expansion of reality. You get this expansion of space and time into a sense of interdimensionality, into a sense that it isn't just this forward and backwards thing. There's this thrown out clock around you of different positions from 1 to 12 that you can go to at any moment with any step you take in whatever direction of that clock, and then take that and flip it or spin it, and then whatever at every single degree that clock rotates when you spun it sideways. I mean, it's basically complete 360 all around a sphere. Every single direction you can think of is an opportunity to create your moment, to expand your moment that you're already existing in right now. You're sitting there doing something right now. That is your moment. What are you going to do next? Are you going to do the same thing that you've done before? You've been down that road before, Neo. You've been down that path. Do you want to really go down that road again? I know you don't. So what are you going to do? I mean, first of all, if you're listening live right now, then you know, I mean, you're not doing something that's probably any big deal. I mean, unless you're working, but even then, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do when you get off? What are you going to do when you're done listening to this? Those are all choices that we're given this free will of choice. But in those moments, you really have to think of how important each moment is. And that's where you see opportunity. So in this experiencing the moment, and these are all things that I've learned through studying what this thing called life is the now is really life. Being in the moment, being alive, being conscious, that is life. Like, that is the existence. Why are we here? That. To exist, to be. Whatever we are, whatever we became because of whatever pattern, that is not as important as appreciating who you are and experiencing the moment, and that will expand everything in your life in such a magnificent form. It will be like you put on new lenses of glass, or like if you had glasses and you put on new lenses and everything was crisper and clear and more beautiful. And that's where I'm going to go into the plant shamanic side. There's some concepts that say, especially because of certain foods that we've eaten throughout our culture for the last 100 years or so, even more, there are chemical imbalances in the brain, different things that occur. And not just that, but there's also blindage by our own ego that is pressed upon our consciousness within our mind and within our body, whatever you want to think the consciousness is. And that's where things that are hallucinogenic do have some sort of property of chemical that actually mimics other chemicals that are in our body, and they allow us to attain a certain reach that is not usually attainable. Now, I'm not going to say that you can't reach with like smoking pot or smoking cannabis or using shrooms, any kind of hallucinogenic compound. I'm not going to say that it's not able to be maintained or able to be achieved by meditation or from forms of any other kind of practice that puts you into I call it a meditative state or a deeper conscious state. You know, those things are possible, but using these earth-given substances that are life forms, like mushrooms, I don't believe in taking mushrooms dry. I believe in taking them actually moist, where they're fresh and they've just grown, because that's when they really have their life in them. That's when they're really there for you, and you can even let them spore a little bit, and then before they actually start to wilt, you take them then. I mean, it's a phenomenal experience when you are symbiotic with your food and with your medicines. And that's something that we don't really get where I'm at in Texas right now. We don't have that opportunity to grow different things because of these laws and these stigmas. When the reality is, if you're looking to expand your consciousness or expand your life, as far as, when I say expand your life, by the way, I mean expanding the enjoyment, expanding the opportunity, your reach, really. Because it's like, think about where you go. If you were a cell in a body, how far do you travel in that body? Do you only have like a to and fro lifestyle, and then you have a certain segue on the weekends? Or do you have a bountiful or plentiful array of roads and areas to travel and jobs to do and tasks that occur? Because that's really where life happens. And as human beings, we create this class section of individuals of these highs and these lows, when the reality is we as conscious individuals are all capable of evolving into these true caretakers of this garden. And that's where these things called shrooms and these other herbs and plants, such as, ayahuasca is made of multiple things. DMT can come from different plants, and of course cannabis and shrooms and all sorts of stuff that is really out there that can expand your consciousness in one way or another. And sometimes when you go to these magical shops and you find things like Blue Lotus or Wormwood and what's another good one? There's different kinds of poppies that are used that aren't illegal opiates. But there's all these different flowers and leaves and all sorts of plants, basically, that provide these natural medicinal features, or these natural medicinal factors that we're missing out of our life. That we go to this pharmacist and we take these pills. That's not experiencing the moment. That's trying to keep us, going so we can be productive. That's not going out and experiencing the plants, experiencing the earth and what it has to offer back to you. I mean, how many of you stopped and meditated today? And that's where we're really missing out on these different things, and the shrooms are very interesting to me because I'm into mycelium and the different underlying things that mycelium is capable of, not just hallucinogenic mushroom mycelium, but all sorts of mycelium that can consume, petroleum waste and consume our trash. There's all sorts of mycelium that are just amazing things. And if you don't know what myceliums are, it's basically the plant, and mushrooms are the fruit. So mushrooms come from mycelium. So that is something that is fascinating in itself, but we're not going to go too much into that. So with shrooms, you've got all sorts of different kinds of shrooms. You've got psilocybin cubensis. You got, I think it's called Pionesis. I don't know. I can't remember right now. But then you got Amanita muscaria. Those are the three main kinds that I know, or I hear a lot of, and I've talked to a lot of people know of, that are psychedelic mushrooms. Those are three different, basically, breeds. Amanita muscaria is actually one kind of the muscaria, if I'm not mistaken, the muscaria mushroom breed, and or it's from the Amanita breed. And then Amanita muscaria is the one mushroom that actually has this hallucinogenic compound in it, and that's what's related to Christmas and all this other fun stuff. But psilocybin cubensis are the most popular ones. Like, kind of some of the Mexican mushrooms most of them are psilocybin cubensis, and then you got Texas mushrooms, the England gold or I think they're Liberty Bells. But those are all psilocybin cubensis. There comes, some of them are small, some of them are large or medium. Then you have the Pionesis, I think that's how they're called. And some of them are these Mexican ones, and they actually make truffles which is really cool. Because it's a whole other thing. It's just like the strains of cannabis. If you're a smoker of cannabis, they cause different effects. They do different things. Well, these different truffles and mushrooms can cause effects to do different things. And that's if you're actually paying the respect, though, and focusing on them and using them as medicines and tools to alter your consciousness for better purposes, for healing purposes and evolutionary purposes. So, fun stuff with that stuff, folks. There's tons of things you can read about, tons of things you can check out. You can grow any kind of mushroom in your home, like oysters, and going a little off of the psychedelic mushrooms, but you can grow any other kind of mushrooms in your home. Unless you live somewhere where it's okay to grow them, then if you can, I suggest you do it. But it's not okay to grow here in Texas. So, with all the mushrooms, though, it's going to be a fascinating experience. You can get logs, you can get spores, you can get plugs, all sorts of things. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. If you're into seeing life, just like if you heard me talk about the different ferments I do, all sorts of things that you can take care of and create in your symbiotic environment and make yourself more of this earth. That is what being a caretaker is. Starting to keep cultures, I'm creating a yeast right now, wild yeast, honey-based yeast. And my goal, I want to get some microscope and be able to, they have USB microscopes you can hook up to the computer. And I want to sell that stuff showing the strains, all that stuff where people are starting to see, we are symbiotic with this planet. So, and that's one thing about when you start to experience the moment and what shrooms really do and what they did for me is my shroom trips haven't been full seeing everything because I'm not there yet. I'm choosing to take the shamanic path and I'm not ready for the full trip out of another reality, because the reality is I already meditate and go into lucid dreams and trip out. So it's not that easy and it's not that fun when you're trying to do that, and it gets pretty dramatic. I dream every night, we're actually talking about maybe going to a sleep center and seeing if I'm actually going to REM sleep as soon as I fall asleep, because I could swear I had an 8-hour dream one time. It was ridiculous. Woke up like every 3 hours. So, but anyways, it's an interesting thing, folks, when you start to try to expand your mind. And for me, when I did my small little batches that I do, I just like to dip them. This was a while back. I don't do those now that I'm in Texas, for the record. But it was a full nature effect, one with nature. Everything looked cleaner, everything looked crisper, the colors were more vivid. I didn't have any hallucinations or any kind of tracers, anything like that. The colors didn't change, but everything was clear. I felt free of just all the worry, all the stress, all the things going on, and it was just a full experience. I was in the moment. I felt the planet. I knew what was going on, who I am, and what I want to be, where I want to go in my life, and how I want people to see me throughout my life, and what I would strive to become if I could become anything I could. It was all just there on the table. This is my journey of what I'm here for, and I love it because that's what I've been given, and everything's so beautiful. My fiance is beautiful, my family is beautiful, my children are beautiful. It was so mind-blowing, and I carry that with me. Like, it's not an experience I will ever forget. So that's something that I just felt I needed to share in this aspect of experiencing the moment and expanding the mind, and this expansion Thursday going on here. So hope you guys enjoyed that. But that's actually it. Trying to keep this in the name of the game and keep it short, like I would try to do. So we're already going on 15 minutes here. It's actually kind of a long one. I'm gonna put on one of my songs, "Holy Me." It's kind of one of the ones I did in the past. I will have some new songs coming out here soon. I'm on SoundCloud. I am on Spreaker. I'm on Facebook. Just look for me, Thrice. You'll find me eventually. Also, lifeislifetraining.com if you want to really get in touch with me. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening or daytime, depending where you are. Got people listening all over the world. It's kind of cool. So, remember, guys, it all begins with you.
Let's do this.